So we have something very cool that's come through the door for myself, and that is a pump covers parcel. I'm going to open it and find out. It's a pretty cool t-shirt, and also a lovely little note. Now, Deck usually sends a nice note along with the parcels, and it's always good to read like this because it's a nice personal touch. With the clothing he sends, the clothing is fantastic quality. I haven't had an issue with it yet, and again, I know Deck personally, so it's not like a big brand who I don't even know the owner of or have never spoken to. The t-shirt is, let's have a look at the t-shirt itself. Boom. Boom. I've gone with the colour yellow because it's quite a vibrant colour, and it's got that new t-shirt smell. And I just thought it stands out a little bit. A lot of, I do this myself. A lot of people go with the generic colours of black, grey and stuff like that. I just thought I would stand out and just have a little bit of a bright, vibrant colour. Yeah, thanks a lot, Pump Covers. Thanks, bro. Hello and welcome to my YouTube. So today I'm going to review my off-season and talk about how I made the progress I made. So these are the visual differences that I've made during the off-season, and just some context behind these photos. On the left was my peak off-season at 2019 when I was natural. I weighed 205 pounds roughly, and on the right was my peak off-season this time round. I weighed roughly 245 pounds, so there's been a 40-pound gain here. Now, with the composition looking quite similar, it's safe to say that approximately 30 to 40 pounds of muscle could have been gained during this time. Let's discuss how I did this. So let's start with the obvious first. I started steroids, PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, assistants, whatever you want to call them. I started them at the start of this off-season, as many people who followed me for quite a while would know, because I've talked openly about this. The only incentive behind me starting assistants was to pursue my goal of being an IFBB pro. Now, of course, steroids did help and contribute to the progress that I have made. I started the off-season by doing a cycle and a PCT, but then I did the remainder by doing blast and a cruise. I preferred this method because it allowed me to make greater progress, but alongside this I made sure I did sensible cycles that weren't overly excessive, and also monitored my health. Alongside this, I monitored my health by monitoring my blood pressure, doing regular blood tests, and doing heart tests such as an ECG, chest x-ray, MRI, 24-hour heart monitor. This helped me to know that the PEDs that I was using wasn't impacting my health too negatively. As a result of doing all of that, I can confirm that I am still healthy, and my health is still in a good place. I just want to stress that I also did not take excessive amounts, and that is going to be a very important variable into making sure that you are healthy whilst being assisted. On contrary to popular belief, steroids did not do the work for me. It's a common misconception that a lot of people have with people who do steroids. Using PEDs was ironically an incentive to work harder. I didn't want to waste my time, energy, money by making the results a natural bodybuilder could make by being on top of his shit and me half-arsing it and taking steroids. Steroids should be assisting the progress that you are making, not doing it for you or masking bad nutritional and training habits. The main driver of my progress, as I've just mentioned, came from training, nutrition and recovery, of which I'll go into now, and how I managed to level that up during the off season. Now, with training, I became very open-minded. In the past, I have been previously quite obnoxious to think that I had my training pretty much nailed. That is a very limiting mindset to have. Now, like I say, I entered this off-season with a completely different mindset. I was quite open-minded, and I really wanted to make sure that I was improving my training as much as possible consistently. I knew entering this off season, if I had spent the next couple of years consistently improving my training, I would have made a ton of progress just from putting the emphasis on getting better each and every time. And the two variables of which I was trying to make sure were consistently improving were my intensity in training and my execution, so the form. I did this by consistently filming my sets, critiquing them and sending them over to my coach AJ for a second opinion. This is something that I preach to clients to use because it can be such an invaluable tool to use for your training. It's very easy to do, to film your sets. It costs nothing and it gives you an element of self-awareness within your training. It's all very good of going into your set and thinking, yeah, I think I did all right there, but unless you see yourself and you can see what the execution is doing in regards to tempo, depth, alignment, and the amount of intensity you're putting in, you could potentially look back at a video of you performing a set on a particular exercise and think, I potentially had a couple more there. And this is something that I do with my own clients. They send me a form clip and I tell them that there's more there, so that they can believe there is more there and they know to push themselves that extra bit to make sure that they take their set all the way and give maximum intensity. It's maximum intensity that is going to be a key driver for progression and growth. So it's important to have the right mindset to go along with that. In regards to the mindset that I adopted, I wanted to make sure that no session was going to waste. So I was acting like the clock was against me, like I didn't have much opportunity to improve. Despite having a couple of years of an off season, I was acting like the clock was against me. I really didn't want my lack of effort in training to be the reason I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I'd feel incredibly guilty if I did not give it my all because I had such a large amount of time to improve. So I needed to make sure each session was bang on, because a session where you're just going in and going through the motions is a wasted session because you could have got so much more out of it. And again, by videoing myself and aiming to beat myself each and every week in the gym, whether it be form, whether it be the amount of reps or the amount of weight that I'm using, that ensured that I was progressive with training. Now, progressive overload is again another key variable for growth. You've got to make sure that your training is improving some way or another. Like I say, with reps, form, or weight. Now, in regards to nutrition, that was massively leveled up in comparison to my other off seasons. In the past, I'd been known to get a little bit fluffy and a little bit chubby, and I was a little bit lazier with nutrition in the off season. Food, it was more about just making sure I ate a lot of food without too much emphasis on making sure my biofeedback was in a good place. And what I mean by biofeedback was the fact my appetite, my digestion, my body composition as a whole was in a good place, because these are very important things that contribute to your progress. If you don't have an appetite in an off season, you're not going to be able to eat enough to grow, or it'd be extremely challenging to do so. If your digestion is in a bad place, then you're not going to be able to uptake the nutrition and you will just be wasting it by shitting yourself. And if, for example, you're too fat in the off season, then things like insulin sensitivity could be affected. You can start feeling really sluggish and quite lethargic, and going into sessions, that's going to play a role in how easy it is to perform your best. If you're feeling like shit going into sessions, chances are you're not going to be able to give it your all very easily. So what we did, the emphasis on nutrition was to make sure we picked suitable food choices, to make sure that the calories went down easy. I was able to get all the micronutrients, so fruit and veg, in, to make sure my diet suited my digestion as well. So the food choices were picked very carefully. They had to be something that were palatable, but also went along the other things as well. Because again, if it's not palatable, it's not going to be very easy to get down. Alongside this, there was very accurate adjustments to the calories that were made. So instead of just blindly eating a large amount of food, increments of increases to the calorie surplus were made to ensure that I was eating enough to grow, but not too much to get fat. There was also periods of time which I pulled back my nutrition as well. This ensured that I could actually get my biofeedback in a better place, because although the emphasis was on trying to keep it in a good place, if you're pushing in one direction for too long, your body starts fighting back and essentially telling you to fuck off. So to get away from that, you need to push a little bit in the other direction. The benefits of doing this is it kept my composition nice and clean, my appetite was refreshed, my digestion was in a better place, my blood glucose was in a better place as well. So that meant I could be in a more optimal place to push back up. If I had just carried on pushing all the way through, which I have done in previous off seasons, then I would be massively above my stage weight and I would have to do quite a heavy diet to come down. Also, I probably wouldn't have made the progress that I could have made because, again, the biofeedback wasn't in an optimal place. On to recovery. Recovery, again, this was another variable that had been leveled up. In the past, I had been known for training 6 days a week. I'd been known for training long, hard sessions with a lot of junk volume. So the emphasis, again, just going back to a little bit of training, was to make sure that I was training hard enough to get the stimulatory benefits from training, but not putting myself so deep in a hole where it impeded my ability to recover and grow muscle tissue. This takes monitoring my training, whether I can be progressive on a certain amount of training volume, how I feel, my energy, my mood, my sleep. Sleep is another thing. Sleep was something I emphasized a lot. In the past, I've worked jobs where, for example, I was doing night shifts and that my sleep was all over the place. This time, I had the benefit of living a bodybuilding friendly lifestyle. I'm an online coach. This allows me to work quite flexible hours. I could work when I need to work. I could work when I want to work. I'm quite flexible in that regards. To a certain extent, I was able to keep a nice structured sleeping routine. And this is very important to create a nice healthy circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is essentially what's going to be defining the quality of your sleep. If you don't have a very good circadian rhythm and you sleep all over the place, your sleep quality is going to be pretty shit. So sleep was kept structured. I just made sure that when the evenings came, I chilled the fuck out. My stress was minimal. My sleep was very nice and lengthy. I made sure that it was nice and easy for me to nod off to sleep. Sleep is going to dictate your mood, your energy, your performance in sessions. All these play a pivotal role in progression. What I also want to mention is consistency. Consistency, doing all the things that I have just mentioned, is a massive contributor to making the progress that I've made. Applying yourself 80% or 100% of the time is better than applying yourself 100% 50% of the time. You're going to get more out of it. So whatever you're doing with training and nutrition, make sure you can do that consistently. If you can't, then find a way that you can. There's so many ways to do this. find a way that suits you. And an easy way of doing that is having a coach that is willing to learn about you, find out what works for yourself, and explore that with you to create a good plan for yourself. This is something that I do with my own clients to make sure that they've got a plan that they can adhere to and they can just stick to without any issue, because again, constant efforts is what's going to build the most progress. I don't want you to be thinking this off-season was absolutely perfect for myself. It wasn't. It wasn't without its setbacks. Of course, we all know about the pandemic, the lockdown that carried on through that. With that, I had trouble, as many people did, trying to train. I tried to find gyms that were open during the pandemic. I tried to just keep my training as consistent as possible, but occasionally there were unavoidable interruptions. As well as this, I had a few illnesses which set me back a good few weeks. And I was ill. I was ill with viruses. I was ill with actual COVID. I was ill with a really bad bout of diarrhea. And pretty much most of these times being ill, bar actually COVID, I lost a good amount of weight, which I had to spend the next few weeks rebuilding my strength and my weight and my appetite and all these things. I have had injuries as well. These injuries have been quite frustrating, and again, I've had to train around them, but they have set back my training a little bit. Now, in hindsight, there were potentially things I could have done to keep myself safer. But again, with the emphasis on trying to improve my training, this is stuff that I can now put in moving forward to prevent further injuries from happening and make sure existing injuries do improve, recover and get better. And that's the very important thing. If you don't want setbacks, you've got to make sure injury prevention is stayed on top of, such as just lifting safely with decent form. That's why it's important to place the emphasis on that. Not only are you going to get more stimulus, but you are going to keep yourself safer, so you could be having more consistency with training, which again, consistency is key to progress. And there are some setbacks that you can't avoid at all, such as being ill. And obviously we could not have avoided the lockdown. So it's important during those times to just do your best. If you're ill, just try to get food in you, try to drink plenty, which you should do all the time anyway, and just try to make sure you're resting up until you can get better and back in the gym as soon as possible. Everyone gets ill, and you will experience setbacks during your journey, but I don't want you to think because you've had a setback you should give up, because everyone goes through these setbacks. And what's important is you get up and you go and no matter how many setbacks there are, you should need to set up what you're doing to make sure there are minimal setbacks. But if there are any, you can't allow them to discourage you from jumping back on the horse, so to speak, and smashing your training. You will be set back potentially a couple of weeks, a couple of months. But again, if you don't get back at it, then you'll never get back to where you were and surpass it. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope it has provided some value, some stuff that you can apply in your own gaining phases. If you like the video, give the video a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and let me know what videos you would like to see, because I want to make videos that you want to watch. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the rest of your day, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. I will catch you later.